Yeah. So uh, I'm noticing in your LinkedIn that you've worked at some of the biggest companies in the world, like Airbnb and Upwork. I'm curious how long you've been in paid social and how did you start?
Yeah. So I've been in paid generally for, let's see, when did I start doing this? Like 2013, 11 years. And paid social specifically since like 2015. So like 8 years ish, 9 years. Started with paid search, all things Google, paid social quickly after that at Upwork. I joined Upwork back when it was still Elance Odesk, which two different freelancing platforms merged, became Upwork, and was in charge of client acquisition. So people come to the platform, posting jobs, looking for freelancers. And as we scaled more and more, we wanted to go more top of funnel, and obviously paid search is great for that. So that's when I first started dipping my toes into Facebook, and it's been crazy and it's changed a lot. I remember when I first started, you couldn't put more than 20% of your image, or you couldn't have text that was more than 20% of your image on Facebook as an ad. So there used to be that would be like this text checker tool, which seems crazy to think about, but yeah, it's been a long journey, a long ride, and things keep changing. And I'm sure we'll talk about how on this chat.
Yeah, I do remember that 20% text rule. It made, I don't remember why they had that, but they removed that. And there are still some people that still think that there's that 20% text rule.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's, yeah, glad it's not there.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying. An extra step in the
Yeah,
creative process for the designers to like worry about.
yeah. So then afterwards, you started your own company, Ads by Alvin. What's that been like?
Yeah, it's been a gift and a curse, man. Like, when I was at my full-time jobs at Upwork and Airbnb, I always felt kind of like there was a ceiling on what I could do and my growth. And, uh, those are big corporations, Airbnb especially. And when COVID came, it was kind of one door closing and another door opening. So I was part of the host acquisition team at Airbnb and in charge of global paid search for the host side. And I remember we were working on the Japan Tokyo Olympics acquisition campaign, and that was early 2020. And as we all know, early 2020, Tom Hanks
Hmm.
gets COVID. Steph Curry, or not Steph Curry,
Yeah.
some basketball game was
Oh,
canceled mid game,
Rudy
and
Gobert.
yeah, yeah, exactly,
I
exactly,
know. I remember he was
yeah,
licking microphones or something.
yeah. Wow, dang, that feels like a lifetime ago. But once
Yeah.
that all happened, it was over. Like, um, I remember at one of the all hands, I was asking Brian Chesky, like, "Hey, when are we going to start taking this seriously?" Because COVID was around in China for a couple of weeks before the U.S. took it seriously, and maybe I should have kept my mouth shut because shortly after that, uh, our host acquisition team got laid off because we had to shut down, right? So
Yeah.
it makes sense, business perspective, right? Like it's a travel company, bookings were tanking, so it was time to just pull the plug. So got laid off in May, and then started the agency kind of immediately. I was already kind of working on it, um, and initial couple months, just trying to get my name out there, start acquiring clients. It's been a long 4 years. At this point, very happy, full roster full of clients, but it always hasn't been this way. And as you know, as a fellow entrepreneur, pipeline is everything. So yeah, it was 2020, May 2020 when I started all this.
Yeah. I understand it's very hard. I remember around 2020, that was when I had just joined Calm. And I remember only being in the office for 3 months before everybody had to start working from home.
Hmm.
And I remember being the first person in our team to be like, hey, this is kind of sketch. I'm just going to start working from home now. Yeah, because I strictly remember going to the grocery store one of those days in the early days, and I just felt the panic in the air. Like people
Hmm.
were hoarding food, and I was going to the grocery store to get food and toilet paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were fun times.
I did the same thing. I went to Costco and bought like a bulk pack of Indian curries, and I like just shoved it into the corner of my apartment, and just like made sure to have some sort of emergency stash. Very glad
Yeah,
that those times are behind us.
yeah, I'm glad too. Um, so with all of your clients that you handle, I'm curious. I'm a performance marketer at heart, and it seems like you've done a lot of performance marketing as well. How do you think about brand versus performance marketing?
Yeah. Uh, Earlier on in my career, I was jealous of brand marketers because for us, it's like it's sports. There's a scoreboard. You spend $10. How much did you earn back? If you didn't earn back more than enough to cover plus some margin, you're fired. And for brand, it's like, oh, this one feels great. Let's put it out there and let's spend like millions of dollars against it. But as I've progressed through my career, I realized they really do work hand in hand. So like, we're responsible as performance marketers to get the right eyeballs, get the right people, get the right creative um, in place so that people come to the site, and with the measurement in place, we can see what the ROI is. But it's a lot easier to do that if you have a strong brand in the marketplace. And if you don't, it's a lot harder, right? So brand is more than just like big TV campaigns. It's really about the trust that you have in the marketplace with your customers. And when that trust is there, it's much easier to convert. So oftentimes you actually see in the performance metrics when brand campaigns are on, conversion rate is a little bit better. There's more organic and direct traffic. There's more people to retarget. So they really do work hand in hand. It's naive, I think, as a performance marketer to discount brand and say it's a waste of money. At the end of the day, it all just depends on like what our measurement tools are. And I would actually say that sometimes growth marketers, performance marketers, a little bit myopic. We're limited by like attribution windows, cookies, things like that. And a lot of this you just can't
Yeah.
measure. It's both an art and like an attribution problem.
Yeah. I remember a few years back running campaigns, and I would love to get your take on this because I see here and there on LinkedIn, and um, I've done this myself as well when I was a junior media buyer, but setting like a certain percentage of budget for upper funnel, like either video view or reach as a top of funnel, and then also setting up a bottom of funnel retargeting campaign. I see it here and there in some ad accounts. What I generally like to do is kind of go broad and let Facebook handle all the targeting and do creative diversity or stages of awareness through your creatives. But I hear here and there of full funnel performance marketing where you have that upper funnel objective, and then yeah, have a particular budget toward that. Do you have an opinion or um, experience on that?
That's interesting. I think what you described, at least the way I interpreted it, was it's kind of like the only performance part of that mix is the retargeting. And at the top, you're just trying to get wide reach, wide eyeballs, lots of um, awareness on a lower CPM. That's a very interesting setup. I mean, in a way, what you're kind of saying is, hey, Facebook, screw your machine learning and all your targeting and all your algorithms. I don't care that you can cherry pick the right people at the right time. I'm just going to go wide, and then like the people that trickle down, I'm going to hit them over and over again. I've never run it that way. I think that's actually really interesting. I think you definitely get like more eyeballs as a result. Um, but yeah, I think like to your second point, I think most people today at least, and the guidance from Facebook for the past couple of years, and of course Facebook is like It's got its own incentive, just like Google. They're just like, hey, just trust us with the targeting, use conversion optimization setting. Don't get fancy, don't get cute with the retargeting. You can't identify the retargeting pools anyways because the pixels and cookies are expiring and ad blockers and stuff like that and iOS and all that stuff. I think like before iOS 14, that huge privacy change, and after, like you lost like 70% of your retargeting pools if they were based off of pixels. So I don't even know if that's viable today, but um, yeah, I mean, the way that we run it with a lot of our clients is we understand that optimizing for conversion probably going to actually get you the conversion. And when we try to hack it and get creative, results don't become much better. But of course, as a full funnel growth leader, you have to think about incrementality. And the inkling in the back of my mind is always, okay, Facebook's just retargeting. They're getting the easy points here. Um, and I know Facebook has been pushing us more and more towards using Advantage Plus campaigns, which don't even allow you to like specifically target a lot of the times. It's just like, hey, go after new customers and that's it, or a mix of new and old. But I think they do have features that now allow you to specify what percentage of your budget you want to put towards returning customers. So you can say like only spend 30% or only spend 10%. And also, what I've really appreciated in the past couple of months is I think they've also allowed us to now define previous customers and engaged customers, where and you can use that as breakdowns now in your reporting. So it'll show you like for engaged customers, we spent like X amount of dollars, the rise was this. For returning customers, so on and so forth. For new customers, so on and so forth. And so they have given us a little bit more visibility and granularity into each stage of the funnel, which I think like they have to, right? Because smart people will know that without that, we don't really know how to evaluate Facebook as a channel. So to me, that's like a bullish sign. It means that Facebook is confident in its own ability to drive new customers. And it's actually borne out in a lot of our accounts too. Like we do see 80% of the spend going towards new customers. The rise is obviously not as strong as returning customers, but it's also not bad either.
Yeah. Yeah. That reminds me that Facebook's, I haven't seen this, but maybe you have, but they're rolling out this incremental conversion objective where I think based on their own data or based on Google Analytics or Triple Whale or something, they're able to optimize for that incremental conversion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have all the data. So, if they're confident, then I'm sure they're willing to take away some of their margin to keep customers happy.
Yeah. It's kind of like it's there's a free market of competition there, right? Like they have to be able to drive new customers. Otherwise, more of our money is going to go to Google and all the other platforms. Google also with PMax has their little toggle now for, hey, go after new customers only. So I think Facebook, of course, has to kind of catch up or at least try to stay at parity. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
I think Facebook is actually a better channel for top of funnel and mid funnel. Search,
Mm.
terrible. You know, it's just demand capture at the bottom. And I think everything Google's been rolling out in terms of like mid funnel, top funnel with YouTube and Performance Max, it's good for some verticals. Like Performance Max is great for shopping and e-commerce, but for something like B2B lead gen, it's usually hot trash.
Mm. Now, I'm curious when you mentioned B2B lead gen, I'm building my B2B SaaS platform and thinking about running paid.
Sovran. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
get the plug in
And
there.
yeah, sovereign.ai. But I'm curious, I have so much experience running Facebook ads, but I have no experience with B2B leads. Or should I, you know, run an email campaign, get leads with a lead magnet? Should I just optimize for a free trial start um, and kind of hope for the best? It's kind of selfish, but would love your take on this.
No, no, not selfish at all. I mean, of course, right? Yeah, I mean, the beauty of SaaS is the cogs are typically lowish, right? I don't know what your back end is to fulfill. Maybe a little bit heavier than your standard SaaS platform because there's so much Gen AI stuff going on. But um, uh, yeah, free trial is great. It's people, I mean, I sign up for free trials all the time. And if you've got single sign on for account creation, there's no friction there at all. You get that email, you get someone in there to use your product, you get a chance to make them have a good impression and have it be sticky. That's great. I mean, I'm from the traditional kind of services situation here with running an agency, and we don't have that luxury, right? Like, if we wanted to offer some free trial, it'd be like, what, like a month or a week of service? It's a lot of work. Maybe a quick
Yeah.
audit, still a lot of work. And the audit has to be good, right? So you don't want to like
Yeah.
skimp on that. So free trial is great. I think usually with B2B stuff, standard search is the best.
Okay.
It's so high intent. It's very specific to different features that people are looking for. CPCs though are going to be very high. It's going to eat you up, right? Because B2B, big LTVs, a lot of competition. Maybe for you, not so much. I don't know. There are a couple of different um, AI workflow, automated ad creative workflow companies out there, but I don't think it's necessarily as saturated as like a CRM system where everyone,
Okay.
there's so many players. And then like LinkedIn, right? Like I think everyone's on LinkedIn and organic. I see you on there. We're both on there. Paid is definitely a way to get more reach. And if you're doing lead gen, giving like a tutorial or an ebook or some sort of lead magnet, I think that works well. But just like on Google search, CPMs on LinkedIn, as we all know, are super high. So you're going to probably have some high CPCs there as well. Um,
Yeah.
I think more than ever, individual um, like Substack writers have a voice, and I wonder if like you can partner or guest post with other Substack authors. I know we have discussed that before, but
Yeah.
that's like it's almost like the UGC analog um, in our world.
Yeah. Like an influencer type of thing for a Substack writer. Yeah, we've talked
Hmm.
about doing some co-marketing together on Substack. I know we're like recommending each other on Substack, so
Hmm.
that's we've been doing that for over a year now, which is
Yeah,
super cool.
yeah. I think since like 2022, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Are you using, this is a bad segue, but are you using any AI tools to help you at work? I remember
Always.
last time we chatted, you told me about this tool called Hunch.
Yeah.
Are
Did
you
you?
using that right now to help out? Because I can see the power of it if you are.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely. So, yes, 100%. I use Hunch for a lot of my workflows. Um, we have kind of like an ICP research exercise that we use Hunch for. Um, it goes and automatically scrapes from a bunch of different sources for flushing out different ICPs based off of a URL. Um, and then it just like gives you all of the different needs, wants, desires, keyword targets, ad copy, ad hooks, ad angles, um, in a process that only takes a couple minutes. You know that I work on YouTube as well, so I do the same thing for YouTube with scripts and titles. It's obviously limited. It's not going to be as good as a human, but it's great for getting 60% of the way there, and with a start, a running start.
Yeah,
So yeah, definitely use AI.
nice. Yeah, I found out I went to an in-person event here in San Francisco last week, and some dude told me about this video database. It's like, you know how you can upload files in ChatGPT and
Yeah.
reference it? Like, I think it's called RAG, but it's the same thing, but with video,
Uh
which
huh.
is very cool for me building this tools. And I was able to, over the weekend, upload one full video ad and then say, hey, cut out the hook. The hook is usually the first couple seconds, blah, blah, blah. And then it just gave me the hook and cut it for me. And another quick little MVP that I tried was uploaded just one long video raw video file, and I asked it, just show me all the clips where there's food. So out of this like 4 or 5 minute video, it compressed it into like a 2 minute video of just the clips with food.
Hmm.
So that's blew my mind, and I'm working to integrate that into the tool soon. So it should save editors a lot of time with just looking at
Yeah,
and editing video.
scraping together assets, right? Yeah, that's super
Yeah,
cool. I think yeah, as these tools get better and better at like going through different formats and modalities, they're going to be able to like label things at a rate like humans could never. And I think one of the more frustrating things for me is like when I'm looking through my old iPhotos or my
yeah,
pictures on my iPhone, it's like I want to find that one picture of this thing, and like I think it's getting smarter, but I think like it's gonna get a lot smarter. Um, and I think that's going to be a crazy world, especially for content creators. I know when I was looking for different ways to quickly source stock footage, or not stock footage, but footage generally for my YouTube videos, it was such a pain to find like the right clip for the right moment. And for YouTube, you need like for 10-minute video, you need like hundreds of clips. And so, yeah, that's super, super
mm,
important and going to be a huge boon for anybody.
yeah. You mentioned your YouTube channel. That leads me to my next question, which is, what have you been interested in lately? Are you still working on the faceless YouTube channels?
I am indeed I am. It has proven to be one of the more challenging things uh, that I've worked on the last couple of years. Each new video gets maybe like a couple hundreds of views, which when we're talking YouTube, like the real whole point of it is to get millions of views, right? Like my goal for this is to become more of a full time media company, and there's just so much that goes into it, right? So in the growth marketing world, our North Star metric is ROAS, and if you want to actually get more um, specific, it's like margin, right? So like margin on ad spend, contribution margin, so like CMOAS or something. How much are you actually making? Net COGS, net ad spend. On YouTube, it's in my opinion, it's like view duration per impression, and this is sort of akin to like revenue per impression on something like paid or on something like Meta, right? Um, it's a combined metric of like your everything. It's like it represents like the whole funnel. Like your cost is your impressions. You pay on impressions, and then your revenue is the numerator. On YouTube, your video gets pushed if people find it interesting, and the way they find it interesting, the signal for that is they watch it. So the more seconds they watch, the better. And not only does someone obviously have to watch it, but they have to click on the damn thumbnail. And so like that's why seconds viewed over thumbnail impression is so important, because it takes the thumbnail click-through rate into account. And that is the bottleneck for me. Um, it's so much psychology behind building like a curiosity gap to get someone to first stop scrolling on their phone, to notice your thumbnail, to then have like a question pop up in their head or some curiosity, and then have them finally click, and then have them watch the video, not bounce within the first 30 seconds, and have a video retention rate that's high enough to get you those seconds watched or minutes watched. And it's tough. It's tough. There's so much that goes into this, and my bottleneck is the thumbnail for sure. I think to really succeed, you need like a 10% CTR on your thumbnail. And right now I'm languishing in like the threes and the fours. So yeah, very much working on it.
Yeah, man, that when I hear about YouTube analytics and statistics, it always reminds me of the work that we also do with video ads and paid video. Like, okay, we got to look at the hook rate, we got to look at average view duration. These are soft funnel metrics, but usually if you have a good low CPA ad, you have a good hook rate, you have a good CTR, you have a good hold rate, generally speaking. But there was a leak of Mr. Beast's Like,
I was reading that this morning.
yeah. And
Yeah,
it reminded me of, hey, you need these, like, you need this flat retention curve on your
right, exactly.
video so that people are watching and not dropping off. So it just reminded me of what you were just talking about.
Yeah, exactly. My curve is like, I think his was like average view dura or average retention is like 60%, and it's pretty much flat. Mine is like 20%, and it's pretty much downward sloping the whole way. And it's so disheartening. um, it's definitely yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard, man. I'm curious about the aspirations to become a media company. Can you tell me
Yeah.
more about that?
Yeah, I like learning shit and like telling stories and sharing. And I have a lot of wide interests and I get very curious. I think growing up, one of my favorite things to do was just go down a Wikipedia rabbit hole and like click on every link and like read a bunch of articles until 3 a.m. And I find that I did this exercise with my therapist a couple months ago, maybe last year, and I was thinking about work, and I was like, what is the ideal emotional tenor of my work week? And I realized, um, client services is something that takes a lot of experience and empathy and EQ and also ability to deliver on the promise. Um, takes all those things to fulfill it well. And I think I've been fortunate enough to land on my 2 feet and do this for the past 4 years. But when I think about like what I want to do for like the next 20, 30 years, I just want to tell stories and I want to share knowledge with people. And when I thought about all those things, I realized that running the agency is hopefully a medium term thing and not a forever thing. And so I'm actively working on hopefully what's coming down the pipe in the next 2, 3 years for me. And I would love to just lean into that side, the storytelling side, because I think that's really rewarding and naturally interesting for myself.
Yeah, man, so many parallels because I just checked out this book. Um, it's by this guy named Matthew Dix, and it's about storytelling. I forgot the name, but he had a book just come out about storytelling called Story Cell, and he was a multiple Moth event winner
Hmm.
or something. But yeah, I just started reading the book, but I'm also getting interested in storytelling and how it helps in business and life and blah blah blah.
For sure.
So I'm rooting for you.
Thanks. I'm gonna need a Yeah, it's every time I get a comment on a video, it's like great video. You've earned my sub. I'm like, oh my god, that feels so good because making a video is a lot of work and it's not easy. And so, like, yeah, thank you for
Yeah,
the support.
yeah, I love it, man. Um, I know you mentioned Substack and LinkedIn. If someone wanted to learn more about you, where could they get more info?
Yeah, if they just visit my site adsbyalvin.com, they can find out more about me. I've got links to my Substack on that site, as well as my ad swap file, as well as a bunch of growth playbooks. So the growth playbooks, for anyone who wants to get better at growth marketing and kind of just like join me for the ride as I work on clients and discover new insights and lessons. I share a lot in these playbooks. Um, at the same time, they can find me on LinkedIn. So just linkedin.com. I think it's slash Alvin Ding. I don't actually know off the top of my head, but they can find me on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, yeah. I want to second the growth playbooks that you have. I actually have them bookmarked, and I take a look at them every once in a while
Oh,
because they're so comprehensive. Yeah.
sorry, I think my audio cut out for a second.
Oh,
Could you
I
repeat
was,
that?
I was
Yeah.
saying that I wanted to second the growth playbooks because I have them bookmarked and
Uh
I
huh.
go back to them every here and there. I love the UGC process, the like ad concept process, and all the research that you talk about needing before even creating that first ad. So I love it, and I'm glad you made it accessible for everybody because a lot of people like to just gatekeep it, right? Like, hey, you know, pay me $100 or $1,000 for this, but
Yeah.
a lot of it is just gate kept. So I'm appreciative that you have it out there for people to consume and get better.
Yeah. Again, dude, thank you so much for reading it and saying that you've got a bookmark. That means the world to me because oftentimes, you create things and you hope it helps someone, but you never really get that feedback loop. So yeah, thank you so much for telling me that.
Yeah,
I didn't learn this stuff on my own either, right? So it's kind of like pay it forward in a way. I saw so many people write about these things online for free. Um, so just want to add my little nugget to it and share it, and hopefully someone else can take the baton and move forward with it.
yeah, yeah. Love it. I'll put links to it in the YouTube just so people can find your resources. But thank you so much for taking the time. It was great to chat with you and catch up.
Awesome. Thanks, Manson. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Alvin.
See ya.